Okay. Hey. So we're going to do a VOD review of this war that happened today. This is my perspective. You should be able to see it right there as well on screen, but you'll obviously have the main screen to watch it from. Um, this is it admittedly likely the worst gameplay I've ever had in a war, which is downright disappointing. Um, I muted all the audio because there was no audio. Um, the audio that you'd have the normal audio gameplay and everything like that, but the comms uh, that were that we had set up and everything like that, something in Discord, I don't know what it was, but something bugged out, and I had no comms with anybody whatsoever. Um, I I think I said about 2 words to one of the teammates that I had. So it was just downright disappointing all around. You'll see me use chat here. You'll see it in the bottom left. Uh, Pops up every now and then, but nothing major. So that was like issue number one that I had with this war, and it's nobody's fault. It was just an issue that I had technically. And I think it was just me being an idiot. I think I just didn't change my Discord channel. So you're not gonna hear any audio because the only audio that I was able to capture was um was background noise from like my fans on my laptop and stuff like that. So I mean it sounds awful, and you're not gonna hear any comms anyway, so I'm just not gonna put you through that. A lot of this video I'm going to 2 times through because just gameplay. Um Not just, there's some things that will probably slow down through, and it's my gameplay, so, feel free to critique away because, like I said, this was one of the worst wars I have ever done. Um, there was a lot of factors to that, but ultimately, like, I just was not performing the way that I should have been, and I'm gonna come out and say that right away. So we're gonna get into this. I have a few notes that you may or may not see pop up on the screen just because I've watched it once already, but I definitely didn't capture everything. And I want to make sure that I hit at least a few points, but I'm sure there will be a few things that I may think of along the way that we can probably discuss as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Here, just basic stuff, popping all the pots and everything like that. You'll notice that I am running a 623 set instead of a 625 set. Reason for this is because this has all of my rune glass. It has all of the perks that I need. The only perk I'm missing right now is Empowered Meteor Storm. Um, so the 625 set that I have is a mismatch of armor. I have like a medium head, a light chest, and like medium boots. So the weight's all off. The armor rating is different. Um, and I don't have that good of perks on it. So this is just a better set, and I will take that 2 gear score adjustment. That's just that it is what it is. So we start off. They're pushing hard on the left. You can hear, or I can hear via the audio that I captured on desktop that our company leader Lynx, he's our shot caller. He was making some calls right here. He told us to swing around right, and the only reason I'm hearing this again with the technical difficulties that I was having is because I had his stream pulled up on my phone, and I was watching his stream off of Twitch. So incredibly frustrating, but also builds into the fact of like why it was so bad. Because everything I'm hearing it like that 10-second delay. You notice about, I'd say 15 seconds ago at this point, I was getting pinged by muskets. This is going to be a theme through the entire video. Muskets are heinous in this video, and that was for a couple different reasons. One, they just have phenomenal muskets on their team. These guys are just built different. It's insane. Once they get their stacks up, it's game over. But also, we weren't running any muskets this time. It was a decision that we made. It was not. I'm not saying it was the right or wrong call. It was just a call that was made prior to the war starting. So you'll see a few of our muskets, but we didn't have a dedicated musket team, so we weren't able to counter their muskets. So here we have capped A, and we're going to start moving to C. I'm going to come over here, realize that C got completely wiped, and I was also trying to talk to. This is the one time that I was actually able to talk to somebody. You'll see the mic above my head. So I was trying to talk to somebody instead, but what I messed up on here, very important right here, is that is a solid. Let's see. I'm going to come back all the way back here, but I'll speed it up a little bit because we already saw it. So at 224, it started, and I didn't do any damage, any whatsoever, all because I was trying to talk to somebody and figure out my mic issue. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit more. I haven't done a single bit of damage. So we started at 224. There we go. That's the first damage that I've done at all. And it was like, it was an okay ice storm. It wasn't even like perfectly placed, right? So if we're talking from 224 to 310, that's half a minute right there of, I am very strictly a DPS mage for a war. Why am I not DPS? So huge bad on me. Should not have been worried as much about comms. I should have fixed my comms ahead of time. That just is what it is. But like, if you can't fix the comms and you have even a semblance of what the plan is, just going with it. That was a huge bad on my part. So there's 45 seconds of DPS that this team's not going to get back. Here he's calling out that he wants us to play on campfire side. So you see me starts swinging around a little bit, getting pinged by muskets, bows, and toast. Just getting rickrolled. Shout out to Lynx. He's calling respawns right now. He's calling where the rotations are and everything like that. He's doing everything right. This was a very, very skilled company that we're going up against. We have multiple times made the statement of like, we are trying to step up to the big leagues right now. And this is definitely one of the big leagues teams. So respectfully, good on you guys. Like, nothing but love. You guys won that fair and square. There's no two ways about it. You guys wrecked us. I don't feel bad about it. You guys are just a more developed and we're all better company. This is what it is. Like, there is a skill gap for a reason. You guys have been at this for longer than we have. We're a 3-month-old company. I ain't upset about it. So, but Lynx is doing a phenomenal job making all the calls right now. Here you'll see just throwing in some AoEs, trying to get some DPS in. I will say that I do my best, and I'm not obviously perfect at it, but I do my best to scan targets as much as possible across the battlefield because I am not trying to stat pad. That's not my goal for this build. My goal is very specifically to finish. What I mean by that is if I can put in that last fireball that's going to burst somebody down, or if I can chip away at somebody with an ice storm or slow them. Ice storm is very specifically, or mostly specifically for slowing and stopping pushes and things like that. But I do use it as a DPS alternative as well. But Firestorm can get a pretty decent, not a lot, obviously, but it can get a decent amount of AoE damage spread across a group. And if you have a bruiser in there doing Maelstrom on a Gravwell or something like that, you might be enough to finish them with a Meteor. And what that does is that puts them on their respawn timer, and that just takes that DPS off the field, or that tank off the field, that tick on the point off the field. So, like, I understand that there's utility in a IGVG set. I am one of, I think, 2 or 3 mages in this entire war, or in this entire company that we have. I think our company total has like 5 straight up Fire Staff Ice Gauntlet mages. So we're not like built around me or anything weird like that. We're not some like super off meta company. This is just my preferred DPS build. And so my goal is to assist the bruisers in finishing what they started, especially with the AoEs that I have, and also being a little bit of a support with Ice Shower, Ice Storm, things like that, being able to block off certain parts of the point, being able to slow pushes, which we'll get into in a second here. But to get back into it, I'm going to start going a little bit faster through this stuff. This is just basic DPS that's going on right now. Okay, so right here, you'll hear, or you won't hear it because I turned it off, but I hear that Link's made the call to rotate me and Drew. I don't know what my computer's doing right now. Rotate me and Drew, as you'll see right in front of me. He's rotating us around the backside to C. Now, here's something that I want to show, and I have 2 like kind of variable things to say about it. So you see right here, as I'm running up, what I'm doing is I'm looking to see off to my right side. I'm looking to see, are there people coming? Because I know my main goal out of all of this war is support. And a lot of that comes off of my Ice Gauntlet by slows. So I'm looking, I can see right here, I know that I've got a clump of trees right here. But on the other side of this clump of trees, I don't see anybody here. And I know these are things that I'm registering like while I'm playing. I don't see anybody here. I see this clump of trees here. And I know that on the other side, if I go around the backside of 3D, right? If you see my cursor, if I go on the other side, it's wide open. So I see some people moving through here, and I see other people that were starting to go that way. Now, here's where I made a good play and a bad play at the same time, and I'll kind of explain. I deliberately placed Storm in what I would consider, and I'm sure that it's not perfect, right? Nothing ever is. It's poor. But I placed Storm very specifically in front of Homeboy over here, who is rushing the, because I wanted to slow him before he did, and I wanted to slow his advance. I also was placing it there, assuming that there were more people coming in behind him. However, by looking here, we can see that I glance back right, let's see, right here. The only red dot that I see is the guy that I didn't see anybody else coming. In the heat of the moment, maybe I chalked it up to this branch being in the way. But like right there, I panned back and I looked. I didn't see anybody coming. Good on me for thinking through the process of trying to slow people rushing. Bad on me. It's one dude. I could have gotten more value out of that if I had placed it here ish, right? And actually DPS'd and slowed the people that were on point. So again, not the worst play. I'm not mad at it. It's just a learning, a learning, or it's a lesson, right? Um, but just something I wanted to bring up because I noticed it while I was watching this. Like, you could have done way better with that one. I'm able to move up here. Um, Again, I get the curtain off to try and stop. You'll see how laggy some of this stuff is. That's just stuff that I deal with every day. If I haven't said anything to you guys, I am playing on a US West server. I live in Japan. So my ping, all of my stuff, like you'll see it up here in the top left. Um, None of it's great. My frames per second aren't great or anything. I end up like turning down my settings later on to try and get some better FPS so that I can do a little better. And it's not the excuse that like, hey, you suck. Like, I'm not the best mage on the planet, right? But just of note, um, that's why some of this stuff looks weird, and it's definitely more difficult for me to play than other people who are running like fiber in SoCal on a US West server. Like, that'd be awesome. I'm just not there. This or at least turn. This audio is literally so bad. There, I just got ganked. I should have been able to get out of it, and I just didn't. Let's speed up through some of this. Here you see me trying to pull down my settings because I noticed how bad that shower was with it coming in after the fact. And I was trying to change through some of my settings. Very beginning of the video, I changed my setting, but I didn't change them appropriately. So Link's made the call for us to haste-pot over to C. So that is what I'm doing. I like to think when Lynx makes a call, I'm pretty responsive on it. So Lynx, correct me if I'm wrong, but I hope to think that you will always see me where you call me. Here you'll see that I was waiting. Let's go back a few seconds. So as I get up, I first off had to let my graphics reset, which was only like a 10-second, a 5-second thing, whatever. Here I'm trying for the life of me to switch my weapons over to my fire staff to get. I saw that group there. I wanted to get a fireball and a meteor storm on it. It just was not switching over for some reason, so I had to do it a different way. I have a secondary switch button. But you'll notice that as soon as I'm able to get my fire staff out, I'm immediately up and I'm on the point. Now it also helps that like there weren't people on the point, but that's a huge thing. Is I am a light armor mage. Like I got 200 con, so I'm not totally squishy, right? But I am a light armor 200 con mage. Like, I'm not taking many hits from a standard bruiser. Right there, you'll see I'm able to get away from all these stuns and everything like that. And then I make the call back over here. I know that there's going to be at least a few people coming. I can see a few bodies over this way. And then as I turn, I can see even more once these red pings start coming up. Or not even more, but I can like confirm that they're coming. So I switch over and I place a storm where I think is generally the best. Obviously, I have a little bit of blockage right here from the flag and everything like that. But I got some tick off. I got some DPS off of it. I got a slow off of it. And I got fortified off of it. So that's awesome. Not mad about it. We were able to wipe them. Plenty of tick. We're going to take C here in no time. So let's speed up from here. What we do. We know we're going B, right? That's the only thing that we got left. So we decided to come around behind because we know the main bulk of their Zerg is on the war camp side. So we come around behind. This is typical DPS play right here. You guys seen it a bunch of times. Right there, I will say, if I can find my cursor. Oh my gosh. So right here, I put a storm down. I'm DPSing. I see some people behind me, right? I know that they have the ability to come in and swoop in behind me. So I curtain behind me or I shower behind me. I'm trying to block off their entry, and you'll see it's probably not a perfectly placed curtain because they can get in between this rock face right here and everything. I'm just trying to give myself a little bit of breathing room, and like maybe you don't want to come mess with me. Um, Not because I'm better, but like maybe it's just not worth your time getting stuck in that storm, right? That was more of a defensive one because I knew that I wasn't getting up on point anytime soon. Look at the Zergs on. Like if I had to, I would. I'd burn out into it and I'd make it work. But that's not the ideal position for me right now. The ideal position for me is to be able to assist in DPS and survive. So I dropped that in there. No, I wasn't zoning for the point or anything like that. And I get it. Maybe I'm wrong. And please correct me if I'm wrong. But that was one of those of where like I'm just trying to build some survivability for myself right there. So I come in, try to continue, and didn't end up working out super well. Still end up getting nuked. The other thing that I did there, you'll notice that as I run away, this is one thing that I try and do because a lot of people don't do it, I feel. So I make a lot of headway going this way, right? And most people, in my assessment, most people would take this path going out and just follow it back this way. I made the deliberate assessment that they're going to think that. So if I just look like I'm running away, I can regain position. Wrong assessment, very clearly as to based off what happens. But I ran that way and I turned back around to still having some people there, but a little bit of thought process or a little bit of a dive into like my thought process there. I was trying to come around, back around, regain positioning on them. It definitely did not work. It was not the right call. But that's why I did what I did. It was just a bad call. One thing that you'll notice here, you probably see, yeah, right here. I have a blank screen. This is one of the many technical difficulties that I ran into during this war. I don't know what was going on with my map. I did not have a map the entire time. So I usually try and check map to see where my teammates are so I can fight with my team. I didn't have any idea where my teammates were based off the map because I had nothing. The other issue that does is if you go to respawn rally camp or rally point, you have rally point, and you have war camp. It's pretty obvious what war camp is, but these are not labeled, which is fine because typically the map pops up and you just see it on the map. But I couldn't see it. So every now and then you're going to see me looking around on spawn, trying to figure out where I am. And once I can get my bearing, then I can figure it out. But it was just one of those frustrating things that happened on this war. Not the end of the world, but just is what it is. Again, coming in here, I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. This is just more DPS stuff. We're just trying to get into B here. Actually, I won't speed it up. I notice right here I'm getting hit by muskets a ton, right? And you'll see me playing a lot around the bonfire. Specifically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to break up his line of sight on me while in the bonfire. I end up getting killed here. And I did not do a good job of that. But you'll see me go back to that position a couple times later, and I hover around that bonfire a couple different times to try and better survive, better at least break up the line of sight for those muskets to not be able to hit me so quite as easily. So. Here I'm back at the bonfire again. And this is what I'm talking about. You notice me just like really kind of hanging out around it for a little bit, get caught in a grav well. It was a good grav well. Just is what it is. I died. I should have had a tomb, which I think I had a tomb and I just didn't use it for some reason, or I should have cleansed or something, right? I should have done something to get out of that. He graved. I got stunned. Is what it is. I'm going to continue a little faster through this because more DPS play. So here, thought process was, I know on the other side where I just was on the C side, whichever one that was, bonfire side of B, I kept getting pinged by muskets okay, maybe if I reposition to the other side, because I see this guy over here rotten, he's been sitting over on the same spot for minutes at a time, totally fine. Um, so I rush over here. You'll see me cross the gap with that burnout, trying to survive a little bit, not trying to dodge roll my way across the thing. Still get hit a bunch of times. These dudes had insane muskets and bows. They were very skilled. Again, this is sped up just so no one thinks it looks super weird or anything like that. Speed up a little bit more here. Just typical DPS. I'm not getting pinged at all at this point, or at least yet. So I'm getting pretty comfortable. I'm like, okay, maybe I can sit here and actually do my job for once. Now, there was the call that was made, backside's free, get on point. As soon as I hear, hey, I need people on point, I'm going to get on point. I understand that toes on point is more important sometimes in my life, and I'm totally down for that. I knew I had tomb up, so I could have tombed on. I had a detonate should I need it. I know that like getting in there's a ton of people that pretty quickly turn around. You'll see right about here, a lot of people start moving towards me. Okay, cool. It's time for me to get out. If I even bother to stay on here, it's just not going to happen. The issue with that was, again, the lag in the communication. Nobody's fault. I was watching it on Twitch after the fact. I'm getting at a minimum a 10 to 15 second delay on Twitch. So I was just not able to keep up with the calls that everybody else was. So I just ended up showing up late. We, as a company, were not able to fully like force the backside of the point because obviously like they were over there for a reason. Most of us were on the other side here. But it was just something to note. We had OG and GT on the point to total savages on the field. These are up here doing God's work. I realize that I'm about to get overwhelmed. I dip out and try and go continue what I'm doing. Now, in doing that and burning out off the point, I drew a little attention to myself from the muskets. Unfortunate. But I'm able to get back into the typical DPS grind here, waiting on skill cooldowns and everything like that to come up so I can better support everybody. Right there, I was able to drop a decent storm to slow that enemy's advancement. Now here's where like I'm pretty happy with this call, sort of, right? I know I have no comm. I've got nothing. So I'm pinging the point saying, hey, I've got open point right here. Like, let's go get it. If you notice, it's just what? 1, 2, a third person over here. This guy has toes, but I think that's Val. Val and I are the only ones, or whoever this guy is here, might be Comrade, but whoever it is, he and I are the only ones actually on point. Yeah, okay, Comrade. So we're on point. Everybody else is moving off of point. Hey, if we can get Prince here, if we can get whoever this guy is, if we can get them to come up and start pressure, and I know that at least like a chunk of them have been slowed over in the side. It's not game changing, but I mean, we can start the tick. And if you start the tick, you can swing the momentum. So I was trying to do that contextual ping. I was also getting pinged by musket, so I get in there. I immediately tomb to just try and survive a little bit. But at the end of the day, the Zerg is just too much. They overtake us. It is what it is. They were, again, a very skilled team. They're one of the top company, rather. They're one of the top companies on the server or top syndicate servers, companies, rather. That was one of those moments where I spawned in, had no idea where I was because my map's not working. I thought I spawned over at C, started running the wrong way. Turns out I was moving to A. So that was just dumb on me. Right back into the DPS grind. I'm speeding this up a little bit. Again, still getting ridiculously targeted by those muskets. Aldermate here is kind of my arch nemesis through this whole war between him and Jamza. It just seems like those dudes are just relentless with their targeting on everybody, but I felt very targeted through this whole thing. I think this is the point where I kind of switched focus. We'll see here in a second, but yeah, I think this is the one. So I realized, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not the only one getting targeted by this guy. So then I kind of start going to try and not necessarily 1v1 this guy, but at least distract him a little bit. But I noticed that everybody's really clumping hard and they're pulling off the point. So we were able to get a wipe there. That'd have been huge. So I go in to try and DPS as much as possible to support that pull. We're just not able to capitalize on it. They had a lot of very skilled players able to survive a lot of stuff. And then you see him move. That the one thing that I will say that they did very well is they move very well as a company. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So right here, you'll see they are all fighting down at the bottom. They're all sucked in pretty well right here, and they're all off point. A few people were able to move into B and start backcapping B. We weren't backcapping B. They were just extending themselves because they knew they could. Their shot caller made the call, hey guys, we need to go back to B. And look how many people start going towards B. The entire ball of people just starts rushing back. So good on them and good on their shot caller because they had everything down to a T. These dudes knew what they were doing, and it was very well executed. I think that it was yeah, these dudes absolutely knew what they were doing. So good on them, good on their shot caller for making the right calls. They were off into the distance. He pulled them all back. We're able to, DPS a little bit, but just is what it is. So here I come back. I start getting in. Now, one thing I noticed right there, and this is why I really started to focus him for at least a second anyway. Specifically my build, I don't use heavy attacks very much. I don't take the heavy attack. I don't take the no mana heavy attack. I don't take the cooldown on heavy attack. I take the burns for my light attack. And then I have stacked those burns with ignited rune glass, and I am trying to just tick over time. And more so, again, very specifically to be able to finish for the bruisers. That's my goal. The bruisers win wars, and I will never say anything other than that. If you think for a second that you're a musket player and you're winning the war for your team, you're wrong. You're supporting your bruiser. If you think as a healer you're winning the war for your team, you're wrong. You're supporting your bruiser. Bruisers are the hammer, and it just is what it is. Now, this war specifically, they had awesome muskets, and their muskets did a ton of work. But look at what that ball of bruisers was doing. What is an YGG doing? Supporting the bruiser with Oblivion and Storm. So everybody is supporting the bruisers, right? So I am just trying to support our bruisers to be able to make sure that we can at least finish what they started. I guess technically, if I could consider it, I'd be stealing or killed, right? That's not my goal. My goal is not to stat pad. My goal is to finish what the bruiser started. Here, though, with a light attack, I 2-hit this dude and take him down to half health. So I'm like, okay, cool. This dude's pretty squishy. Let me focus him a little bit and see if I can finish. If I would have had comms, I would have called out Rotten and be like, hey, Rotten, turn right and focus this dude with me. He kept going back and forth behind his cover. I was getting nowhere with it. This is sped up over some time, obviously. So it was just not worth the investment that I was getting from the time that I was putting into it. So I turned back over to the main ball and start to play with them. All right, start getting focused back by those muskets. Able to heal up a little bit. Now here's one thing that I specifically marked off to watch. Okay. Right there, I get hit by one. I get hit by a musket. I get hit by another musket very quickly. Right about here, as soon as this sacred gets dropped on me, I immediately get hit with a musket. So let's say that musket shot was half, right? Because of the sacred. But I'm down to 7K now. Pretty much immediately after, get hit for another one. I'm still standing in sacred, so in my mind, I may be safe. Big mistake, because they immediately all turn and focus me. Now, if you watch that back, that was a total of like 4.5 seconds. I'm standing in a sacred ground, 4.5 seconds, nuked by a firing squad. That is the effectiveness of a well organized and well trained musketeer. These dudes were super good, right? So if you ever think that they're not doing work, like these dudes are doing work, just go to any OPR, you'll see the work that they do. And there's a dead limp body just laying in a sacred ground. Saddest thing you'll ever see. All right, I'm at 2 times speed here, trying to get this going a little bit. You'll see there at the bottom, I made a call out for the timer. OG brings up a valid point. We don't have a dedicated healer to our group. That was due to a couple different things. It was a roster change there at the end that somebody needed an extra person to roll with them. So we ended up short a healer. It sucked. It sucked a lot for OG being a bruiser. So feel bad for him. I wish I could say I noticed, but I was getting, 4-second nuked by a musket squad, so it didn't really matter too much for me. But for OG specifically being a bruiser, he would have benefited a lot from a healer. So make sure you know who your healers are and call them out. One thing I will say here is there was a very specific call made, like, hey, pull them up and let's try and pull them away from the point, pull them towards the fort, and then we will try and swing around backside or from war camp essentially and cap on point. So that's what I do. I come in, I drop a curtain down to stop people from coming in behind me, and I immediately proc detonate so I can try and at least get a little bit going off. And then I tomb on point, and now I'm just playing here on point. We were able to get some tick, but they just ended up coming back in way too strong. Again, super good company. It was very unfortunate how it all went, but it just is what it is. Like it's a learning experience for everybody. I like to think that we were very good sports about it. We took it, and it's just you live and you learn. At the end of the day, it's just a game. So. This was hilarious. I actually specifically to see my mic up here. I made the call. I was like, "Oh, there's nobody on point right now. I'm gonna go on point." Didn't notice the guy coming up behind me to leaping strike, and immediately just wreck my world. Finish off by a firing squad. So that's cool, but nothing really of note there. Just kind of comical. They were very good at what some people like. I know Death Metal. If you've watched Death Metal VOD reviews on YouTube, he'll talk about breathing and they were very good about expanding and then retracting. So they would expand off the point. Here was before I finish on that. This was one of those instances where it's kind of weird. He ended up being up over here somewhere. I can't exactly identify where he was, but I just got nuked. I must have found a random spot in the bonfire that they could still see me and hit me from. Um, just unfortunate, but you'll notice that I immediately went there trying to take that cover from the muskets and support from the backside. Didn't work out that time, but whatever. But back to the breathing thing. So they are really good at breathing or expanding off the point in a specific direction to do what they want and push us off the point, and then they fall back in on the point the minute that they think there's going to be some kind of tick generated on it. Um, very, very good at doing that. Let me skip some of this right here. Okay, so to come back here, there was a deliberate call to, hey, maybe we can focus the muskets down, get inside the fort. If we can focus the muskets with all of the bows and mages, maybe we can do that. So that's where you're going to see here just me unsuccessfully trying to 1v1 these musket guys who were just honestly very good. Trying to get a storm up there, wasn't able to place it right. Using burnout effectively, tried to kind of cheese a meteor storm up there to see if it would work. It didn't, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Get focused from behind, move out of it. Thank God for Alistair being there. Get me away from that one pretty successfully. And then right back to supporting the team. Get hit again and was going to stand and fight it out with him, at least try and survive. Because again, like if he's not taking anybody else out, at least he's focusing on me, right? Not everybody else. So just trying to distract him, but again, got hit by a musket in the back. So just is what it is. And the next 2 minutes are very much the same. Me just, DPSing away at a very unsuccessful attempt at killing some of these dudes. So, yeah, this pretty much the summary for me anyway. They were just better, and it just is what it is. It's okay. Could we have done better if we had a musket squad? I don't know. I don't know that would have helped. Correction. I know it would have helped, but I don't know that it would have. I know that it would not have made a difference, or I don't think it would have made a difference. They were just simply better, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So they won. They won fair and square. They beat us very well. Musket Squad may have made a difference, but definitely nothing crazy. My gameplay was awful. I should have done way more DPS. I had 30 minutes as a very DPS specific mage on a field. 30 minutes, 32 minutes, 30 minutes. And I didn't break 1,000,000 damage. Now, like, if we want to talk about like stat padding or anything like that, whatever, but that just goes to show that I was not using my time effectively. And I wasn't. And this, again, I admit it up front, and I'll admit it every time. This was pretty bad gameplay for me. I would hope that it's my worst. It was not fun. That's for sure. But yeah, just wanted to share some thoughts with everybody. Let everybody know at least kind of what I saw from my perspective, and hopefully seeing some of this stuff maybe helps you out or makes a difference in the way you see it or perceive it. I don't expect anybody, but maybe a few of the Iron Reavers to to actually watch this thing. Definitely now realizing now that it's 45 minutes later. I did not expect it to go that long, but it's a 30-minute video. So, um, but yeah, again, this is sorry for the very mage specific getting shot in the face with a musket gameplay, but I just figured I'd share it with you guys and maybe be able to use some of my point of view and see what you guys can see. So, thank you very much if you stuck around for the whole thing. Peace out.